alert! Learning is important, right?
Yes, exactly. What a bunch of nerds.
Nerd alert!
Right.
Marketing Architects.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Jasper. I'm on the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rob DeMars, the Chief Product Architect of Misfits and Machines.
Hello!
Hello, we are back with your weekly Nerd Alert. Every week, I'll take a deep dive into academic marketing research and translate its complex ideas into simple, understandable language for Rob, and of course, for all of you. Are you ready to nerd out, Rob?
Locked, loaded, and ready to nerd.
All right, let's get into it. As always, we'll link the research we cover in the episode notes. This week, I read an article titled, Branding Cheat Codes for Explosive Growth. This is by Jeff Sexton for Wizard of Ads. We're making an exception for this topic. We usually cover just academic research on this show, but I really wanted to cover the topic of cultural imprinting for a long time, and I cannot find any academic research on it specifically that was not so complex that I just couldn't even wrap my head around it. So instead, I found an article from a source that we like and trust, the Wizard of Ads. And Rob, I know that you're...
love the Wizard of Ads.
You can personally endorse them, right? That they're
they're
credible.
fantastic. Shout out to Roy Williams. He is the Wizard of Ads.
Yes. It wasn't Roy who wrote this article in particular, but yes, he's probably putting his stamp on everything. So before I get into the article, Rob, I wanted to ask you, what is the last thing that you bought because you believed it would make you be perceived positively by a group of people? I know it's a complicated question. But...
Yeah, for sure. My Jeep Wrangler, for sure. If I'm not driving a Wrangler, no one waves at me in the other Wranglers. Like, I need the wave. If I'm ever in another car and then I see a Wrangler and then they don't wave at you, like, I need the wave. That's what the Wrangler folks do. Definitely. And then, we give each other the rubber ducks.
Right. You're a little bit of a community of you.
It is.
Wrangler people.
Love. Absolutely.
You're continuing to buy your Wrangler because you like how other people perceive you in a Jeep Wrangler.
100%.
Perfect. I think mine, like the last thing I bought, might be a time trial bike for triathlons. So when I first started doing triathlons, I used like a gravel bike, which is more of like a normal bicycle. But pretty soon you realize that most of the pretty serious people, they've got a time trial bike, which is when you see people hunched over, they've got bars on the front of their bike.
You like travel in time? Like, I don't understand. That sounds
it's
pretty
much
amazing,
faster.
Actually.
It's much faster because you're aero. So it is a bit of time travel, I suppose. But
wow.
That was definitely the last thing where I thought, I want to show up with something that people are going to see and they're going to think like, oh, they must be good.
That's legit.
They have a
absolutely
nice bike. Right. So those are some examples of cultural imprinting, which again, it's probably my favorite marketing concept. So let's talk about it. This article starts by introducing the idea of branding cheat codes, the kind of marketing move that turns a brand into an overnight sensation. So that probably sounds great. Think Marlboro's rugged Marlboro Man or Canadian Club's nostalgic Damn Right Your Dad Drank It campaign, which one of those I've heard of. I don't know if you've heard of the Canadian one. I hadn't heard of it before. But those campaigns, they revived sales in mere weeks. And those weren't flukes. They tapped into something deeper, a branding cheat code. Not easy to do, but it's possible. So to understand this shortcut, we have to understand why branding is usually slow, because it comes down to creating associations in people's minds. Think about Pavlov and his bell. He had to ring it repeatedly before his dogs learned to associate the sound with food. In marketing, it's the same concept, except we're not dogs. We're dealing with humans. And instead of bells, it's ads. The problem we have is we can't just hand out candy every time somebody sees our ad. So we're left relying on repetition over time to build those connections. That's why most branding campaigns take a long time to show results, or so we thought. Enter cultural imprinting. This is a theory by Kevin Simler. Instead of trying to change your personal opinion of the brand, it shifts the way society as a whole perceives it. And this is the genius part. When society buys into an idea about a brand, people follow along, not because they're directly convinced, but because they think others are. So that's that third person effect. Think about Under Armour. People might not consciously believe it makes them more athletic, but they wear it because they assume others might see it as a symbol of athletic excellence. That's what cultural imprinting does. And the beauty of it is it's much easier to convince you that everyone else believes something about a brand than it is to change your individual opinion. Because we're social, most of us conform to what we think the group believes, whether we realize it or not. So take that Marlboro Man. He didn't need to personally convince every smoker that Marlboro was manly. The campaign worked because it made clear that society at large had already decided that Marlboro was a cigarette for rugged men. Smokers didn't want to be left out of that cultural image, so they joined in, and they joined in fast. All right, Rob, so quick question. What marketing channels do you think work the best for cultural imprinting?
Well, I'll start with technique before channel, because I think a lot of what you're talking about is like the Marlboro Man or celebrity endorsements, right? Like back in the day, were really powerful for people to adopt that sort of social prestige. And now it feels like that comes through in social media. So going into the channel side of this, and like paid influencers, just people being able to see like communities that are promoting the product versus just your traditional ad unit.
I would say that's accurate. So, yes, for cultural imprinting to work, your advertising, it can't just whisper to a small group. It has to shout loudly enough for everyone to hear. And that would tie into what you're saying about a celebrity. If everybody knows a celebrity, tie your brand to that celebrity, all of a sudden a mass audience also knows about your brand. And that's because for a belief to become common knowledge, we all need to think that everyone else knows it too, which is why mass media, think TV, something like a Super Bowl ad is key. Digital ads alone don't really cut it because they're too fragmented. But if your campaign can hijack popular culture, it becomes impossible to ignore and creates the kind of fame that accelerates growth. I would definitely say, Rob, that partnering with a big influencer would be a way to create cultural imprinting. It doesn't only have to be television.
Elena, it's okay to say I'm wrong. I was
No,
wrong.
I think-
Social media, no, but it sounds like broadcast is a better way to do it than social media.
However, I would say social media ads, no. But partnering with a giant influencer, yes, because
Got it.
that is broadcasting to a mass audience depending on the influencer. So I actually think you're right. But TV is like the more, probably an easier one and
More
less
of a
expensive.
cheat code.
Yes, depending on who you work with. So here's the cheat code. If you want to grow your brand, use mass media to create cultural imprinting that tells everybody, hey, this is what society believes about us. It's fast, it's powerful, and it works if you can pull it off. But with all good things, there's a catch. Doing this is not easy. It takes an understanding of cultural signals, a willingness to go big on mass media, and the creativity to craft ads that truly capture the public imagination. But if you nail it, you'll build a brand and a business to remember. And here's our Rob GPT. Branding is like cooking a slow stew. It usually takes time for the flavors to develop. But cultural imprinting is like the pressure cooker of marketing, turning hours into minutes and delivering a dish everyone wants to taste right away. All right, Rob.
That's super interesting. Were there any other practical examples for cheat codes? I mean, celebrity might be one because you're borrowing the equity of someone and it gets you there faster. Were there any other examples in their studies?
No, I think he was more using that as a way to tee up cultural imprinting. No, I don't think he gave any other like specific examples.
Yeah.
But anything you could think that could reach a mass audience is one way to do cultural imprinting. The way I think about it is TV works really well because you see an ad and your brain automatically assumes that other people are seeing the same thing. But when you're scrolling through Instagram and you get an ad, and especially when it's really personalized, your brain doesn't automatically think, all right, a lot of people are seeing this. So if someone's on TV with a message, like I always like to give the Volvo example for cultural imprinting, which sometimes people disagree with me on, but I still stand by it, which is that Volvo is known for safety. So if you're buying the Volvo, you're thinking, hey, I'm sort of endorsing the idea of driving a safe car. And they've done that through advertising.
I also wonder if some of the social media algorithms make you feel like you're experiencing social proof, right? So if you're all of a sudden, I'm searching out Wranglers and Facebook or whatever, and all of a sudden now I'm starting to see all of this content coming at me for Wranglers, then am I feeling the social proof of a decision I initially made when I was searching?
Yeah, to me, like TV is just such a nice way to not overcomplicate it because it's just the perfect broadcast medium. Like the extra reach you get with TV that marketers often don't like is what causes cultural imprinting because people are seeing products and services and they assume that other people know about them. They must be good because they're on TV. Like it just becomes a great way to grow your brand quickly, which is why, they talk about, I think the article, it's meant to be kind of fun. It's like, oh, a cheat code, get you going fast. We all know TV doesn't always work fast and cultural imprinting can take a while. But we have seen with our own clients, like launching TV and getting an incredible response right away from television. Like part of that must be cultural imprinting. Like you're hitting all
Right.
these people that were in market that maybe had heard of you, hadn't heard of you recently, maybe like needed a mattress, but didn't know about your brand. You hit them at the right time with a TV ad. And all of a sudden you're just, again, you're reaching more and more people that are in market than you ever have before. And they're also thinking, oh, this product must be legit because it's on TV. Other people are seeing it. If I buy it, other people will know what it is. It all kind of works together.
Interesting. Thank you, wizard people.
That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. We'd like to thank Taylor De Los Reyes for producing the show. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you like the podcast, please leave us a review. Now go forth and build great marketing.
Marketing Architects.